Manx National Heritage works with community partners to stage exhibitions at our sites and spaces. We have partnered with the Creative Network, a community of artists practising on the Isle of Man, to stage Home, an exhibition in which artists explore what home means to them. Home is open at the Manx Museum until the 14th of April.
My name is Maureen and I'm a textile artist. My technique is painting with needle, stitch and thread rather than more traditionally using paints and brushes. I primarily use free machine stitching, which is basically where the sewing machine controls are turned off. I densely stitch to create texture as well as colour, but I also use some hand stitching and mixed media techniques. I had embroidery designs published in various UK stitch magazines during the 1990s and early 2000s, and won the first prize in the Royal School of Needlework's metal thread section in the 1996 Knitting and Stitching Show at Alexandra Palace in London, as well as other off and on island awards. Since then, I studied for the City and Guilds Stitch Diploma, which concentrated on art and design as well as contemporary textile techniques. I've always been an embroiderer and knitter since my childhood, but the City and Guilds course demonstrated definitively that textiles are very much an art form and not just a craft. It was also a great introduction to experimenting with diverse techniques and media. Since taking early retirement, I have worked as a textile artist and had a solo exhibition at the Hodgson Loom Gallery in 2013, and then various joint exhibitions with fellow textile artists and friends, as well as regularly exhibiting with the Isle of Man Arts Society. Since 2013, I have also been a member of the Creative Network, taking part in their regular art festivals, and was one of the 10 artists selected to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Creative Network with a stamp issue by Isle of Man Stamps and Coins. It is a great privilege for my work to have been selected by such renowned and respected artists for this exhibition, and for my piece to hang in the gallery at the Manx Museum. Inspiration for my art comes from a variety of areas: nature, travel and people. But recently I've started to look at my family history for inspiration. This particular piece was inspired by a photograph of my father-in-law making the Manx dresser when he was in his 80s. Rowley was apprenticed in Douglas as a cabinet maker before the First World War. However, he was of an age and disposition to volunteer to join the army ahead of conscription. His story of the First World War was that he was left for dead in Salonika, but the enemy Turks found him and helped him, ironically, so he was lucky to come home at all. He lived into his 90s and had a varied career, but not cabinet making, unfortunately. Woodworking was a hobby rather than a career. The original photograph was of Rowley making this dresser in the garage near his home, but I've changed the background to look more like an old-fashioned workshop rather than a garage. The background fabric was painted before stitching, and the difference in density of stitching has given a certain wonkiness to the background, which I think adds a light-hearted touch of humour to the picture. I have very fond memories of Rowley working on this piece of furniture, a handmade piece in the style of traditional Manx cottage furniture, and a piece of furniture which now proudly dominates the snug in my current house.
My name's Myra Gilbert, and I'm one of 8 artists who work on behalf of the Creative Network. The Home exhibition is a collaborative project between members of the Creative Network and Manx National Heritage. We invited our artists to submit original artwork in response to our chosen theme of home. An external curatorial team made their selection of anonymised pieces of work. Their aim was to develop an art show that would reveal the meaning of home from the perspective of each artist through the subject matter they chose and the media used. To explain the background of this show, the Creative Network is a not-for-profit organisation comprising 80 island-based artists. For 11 years, we have aimed to promote and support the work of artists on the island, and in this instance we are extremely grateful to Manx National Heritage for the opportunity to exhibit over such an extended period in the nation's premier gallery space. The work of Manx National Heritage staff has been freely given, as has the additional support by the Isle of Man Arts Council for production of our exhibition catalogue. We promote the Creative Network artists in other ways, such as the Isle of Man Art Festival, which is an island-wide biennial event. We have a dedicated website, we have an artist directory that we print every year, and we promote our artists' work on social media and the radio. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram all year round.